Alright, this is Q with Gentoo Digital. I'm here to show off progress update for my current project, Custodial. Now that we're about 70% of the way through coding, I thought it would be a good time to give you all this update. Now, I've done almost nothing on the visuals, so do not expect anything to look good here. Those of you who have seen or played through my previous projects will know that I've always specialized in 2D games, pixel artwork, all of that. This is very much not that. Big step outside of my comfort zone. Lots of 3D. Now, I'm going to show off a couple of things to you first. First off, I have a white box game map here just for testing purposes. This has no procedural generation or anything, it's just a very basic map so I can make sure everything's working properly. So, I'll take you in and show off a few things. First off, gun, shooting. We've got some bullet hole decals. These will be actual bullet holes when I add in the art. Like I said, everything is just hardly any visuals, just a little bit of lighting and stuff. We've got a flashlight, which you can turn on and off, and you will need that functionality. Got reloading, the whole ammo system set up. You can see here we've also got some bullet spread. Different guns will have different levels of accuracy. And speaking of different guns, I have 18 weapons total, 12 ranged, 6 melee. You can see here that I can switch to another one. This is the flamethrower, which I think is pretty cool. It has a pretty low damage per second, but can hit massive groups of enemies all at once. Now, here I have a basic puzzle test. This one's really simple. You just hold E on it to interact, it turns, and if you stop interacting, it turns back the other way. You have to turn it all the way before enemies can get to you. Either by fighting them off yourself and having to go back to it slowly, or by being defended by teammates. This is a heavy team-based game. So, though you will be able to play alone, playing with some people to watch your back will make it a whole lot more fun. You can see I have jumping, I also have sprinting, and crouching, although none of it is quite as obvious without the animation, since obviously that's not built in yet. I can also show you a couple of enemies. They will be spawned by code in the proper maps, but because that still has a little bit of work to get out a couple of bugs, I'm just going to spawn these in manually and show them off to you. So, run the game with a couple of enemies. You can see their pathfinding debug is still on, so you can see how they are navigating paths to reach me. They can move upstairs and stuff like that. They do also have different areas you can hit, such as headshots and body shots and stuff, so you can get higher damage critical hits, that kind of thing. Now I can show off something with some actual visuals here. If we jump over to Iron Spires, you can see I have a 4-kilometer map here, which at the moment is quite blank. However, I do have procedural gen set up on this one. So we're going to run it. You'll have about 5 seconds of loading in order to bake the navigation mesh. That I intend to cover with the loading screen, because I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it. It is technically possible. Whether it's technically possible for me, though, is another matter. Now you can see this map does have some visuals. You've got fog, some daylight coming through. The ground has some artwork that is designed to give it this kind of rocky, cracked earth look. And we have procedural gen. So buildings, structures will spawn all over very randomly every time. There will be a main objective structure that is always in a general direction, but it'll still take some work to find it. There will be a lot more structures, so you'll see a lot more variety and fewer big open spaces, although I am counting on having some big open spaces because it is properly unnerving. And on the note of unnerving, I do intend to keep the world flat unless I hear from players that it's genuinely not something that they're interested in. I do think it gives it a nice liminal feel, especially once it's populated with more structures. You'll see more silhouettes in the distance, enemies emerging from the fog, that kind of thing. I do think it'll give the right feel. It also drastically cuts down on load times, the procedural gen and the nav gen. It makes it a lot easier for enemies to move around, and I don't mean just to chase players, but just to not get stuck on things. And not only does it make it easier on me, but it actually makes it easier on the player and their machine as well. It'll be a lot easier to load stuff up. You won't have to spend as much time worrying about things or waiting, frame rate drops, that kind of thing. But if you do have some feedback on that, feel free to send it my way. One last thing I can show off is that I have some grenades. There will be 7 different types. This here is the insulation foam grenade, which will slow enemies down, as well as you if you get caught in it. So, try not to. I can real quick show off 1 or 2 others. Let's see here. Equipped grenade. Let's say little turret. I'm pretty happy with this one. Throw it down, and it will light up the enemies for you. Now it's very straightforward, so you're generally going to want to drop it on a doorway or other sort of choke point where enemies are going to be coming through. So that one's pretty fun. And let's show off the regular frag grenade. There are a few other very fun ones, but if you want to see those, you'll have to wait. Drop a frag, and enemies gone. And that sums it up. Thanks for watching. I'll hit you with another progress update when I feel like it.